Hello, welcome to this class. It is Darlington again, and I want to teach you about the three kinds of storage locations in Solidity. In Solidity, we have three types of storage location, which include the storage itself, you know, the memory, and the call data. These three locations can store information. One, which the difference between them all is storage stores information permanently on the blockchain. That means even though you come like 5 years time, you will still have access to it. It is because you know it is stored in the location that it's declared to be what permanent to an extent. So information such as let's say a state variable we have a storage type by default. So that means if I come here and say unsigned integers age, let's say this thing is public, and let's say the age is 18. This thing right here is storage by default. Okay, and if I create a function, okay, let's say function, and let's say get set age, okay, and then I say unsigned integer, let's say this little age because it's public. This by default is stored in the memory. You understand that? By default, it is stored in the memory. Okay, let's say we change this to, let's say we change this one and this. Let's use string for example. Let's say we call it name, and let's say set name. So now, this I want it to be what? String. Okay, let's call this string, of course. So as it is a string right now, string can take up this kind of for integers within the memory here. You don't need to specify this thing called memory before. If it's an integer, if this data type is an integer, you don't need to specify that memory, because by default that this piece of data that is coming from an external call or is being sent into the blockchain is going to be stored in the memory. Do you understand that? So I'm sure you do. Okay, now but in string you have to what? Explicitly specify this to be what? The memory. Why you're doing this? Because string is a dynamic data type, so the size of a string can really vary from really little two character, just like a and b, to what? A lengthy paragraph of text. So you need to specify this thing by default. So you specify it by what? Saying the memory. And you can also use call data here. All right, the difference between memory and call data is that in memory I could come here and say this name is equal to now James. Okay, and we can save this. What is it saying here? Okay, we haven't made a name here, so we can save this and okay, and say this is pure, just to make the Solidity compiler happy. Okay, it's compiled. You see, I could come here and actually modify the value of this parameter, because storage, which are state variables, arrays and mappings, they all by default are placed in the storage. Okay, storage data stored in the storage and data stored in the memory by default are read write. So that means I could change their value after I've initially declared their value. But a call data type, let me change this to call data. Okay, I can't come and change this, like I can't come and do this, perform this, see that I get an error. Why? Because James is, this is a literal string and it's not implicitly converted to a string. So basically what it's saying is that Calldata is a read-only memory. You can only read, you can't write to read. So this kind of operation is not permitted. But if I just want to store, whatever I'm getting, like if I'm getting this, I just want to what? Let's say I want to store it in the name, this particular name here. I want to store it in this storage, and I do this, I save. It's gonna also what? Bring out some error. So it's saying that pure, I shouldn't do a pure thing here. So I'm going to remove that, and you see that it compiles successfully because I could take the data, I could just read the data that is coming from the Calldata and put it into my storage data called name. So in essence, note this: storage and memory are what? Read and write. Memory and Calldata are cheaper than what? Storage. Okay, memory and Calldata are by default declared within a function. Okay, they are captured within the framework of a function. That is where their territory is. You work with memory when you are inside of a function, and then you work with storage when you are outside of a function. Hope you understand that little difference. And lastly, among these three, the Calldata is the cheapest of all. So when you're writing your code, if you know that you're not going to be manipulating this a lot, in most cases, just use the Calldata. But if you know that you're going to be manipulating this, then use the memory. And if I compile it still works just great. Okay, but don't use storage except if you are very intentional about it and you want to store a certain kind of value straight to the storage. Okay, only state variables, mappings and arrays should be are given that special attention of the storage, because they are designed to hold massive kind of information, and information that determines the future and the current status of a particular smart contract. I hope this all makes sense to you, and if it does, smash that subscribe and like button. I'm going to see you in the next class. All right, have a great one.